The White House says it is prepared to broker a ceasefire. U.S. President Barack Obama spoke by phone with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Obama said the U.S. is willing to help negotiate a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. This comes as Israel's assault on Gaza continues, with more than 300 Hamas targets hit on Thursday. Officials in Gaza say the death toll now stands at more than 75. There have been no casualties reported in Israel, despite Palestinian militants firing hundreds more rockets there. CCTV's Roee Ruttenberg reports from Tel Aviv.
It was another deadly day in Gaza as Israel intensified its airstrikes over the Palestinian strip of territory. Locals looked for the dead and rushed the injured to the hospital. Israel says the attack killed top-ranking militants. Leaders from Israel's sworn enemy, Hamas, say the jets had another target.
This is a dangerous escalation by Israel. It's targeting civilians, and there are airstrikes on homes that are very dangerous. This also shows that the occupation hasn't been able to achieve its goals of putting down the resistance by targeting Palestinian civilians.
Israel accuses Hamas of endangering civilians, both in Gaza, where it says the group uses them as, quote, human shields, and in Israel. More than 100 rockets were fired from Gaza on Thursday, causing sirens to sound in several Israeli cities and sending people rushing for safety. For now, both sides appear to be digging in their heels. The Israeli military on Thursday released this video, it says, showing a strike on Hamas's interior ministry and on 3 senior militants. Meanwhile, Egypt opened its border crossing at Rafah to injured Palestinians. Cairo has, in the past, brokered a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. So far, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi has failed to do so, leaving the diplomacy to the UN. The Israeli ambassador used the floor to sound a siren, telling diplomats Israelis have just 15 seconds to find shelter when they hear it. The Palestinian ambassador used his time to read the names of those killed in the airstrikes. Both sides urged the Security Council to stop the other. The Secretary General warned against an all-out escalation.
It is unacceptable for citizens of both sides to permanently live in fear of the next aerial attack. All parties, including Palestinian armed groups, must respect international humanitarian law. Israel has legitimate security concerns, but I'm also concerned at the many Palestinian deaths and injuries as a result of Israeli operations.
The last major escalation was in November of 2012. It lasted for 8 days, and Israeli experts say they expect the same this time around. They say it gives Israel enough time to set back and weaken Hamas through continued airstrikes, but with diplomacy stalled and the death toll and rocket count rising, many say this is far from over. Roee Ruttenberg, CCTV in Tel Aviv.